Hey everyone, I'm Jim Gast, and I just want to say thank you for joining. We're going to give it just a minute or so for other people to join as well. Matthew, when I do the spotlight, does that make my screen big and also show the PowerPoint, or what is that? How does that work now?
Not too sure. All I see is your screen and your presentation.
Okay. Do you see me as well, though?
Yes, I do.
All right, I wanted to make sure. Fantastic. So, we're just going to give it a minute or so, everyone. Other people just kind of join. Everybody kind of joins, piles in. Just give us a moment or so. First, I'd like to apologize if you have a note taker that you brought into the session, or if you are missing this session and you had your note taker come into it. Unfortunately, we don't allow our sessions to be recorded by anyone other than us for confidentiality reasons. You know, I don't make the rules, but my apologies. However, I will say this: our recording will be available shortly after the webinar. I'm not sure how quickly we do it afterwards, but it will be made available to you, plus some other resources at the same time. We'll send the slide deck as well as what I call my cheat sheet and the recording too. Real quick, I also really appreciate questions. Those are really important to me. So if you don't mind, would you join me and type where you're from in chat is turned off. What? It says my chat's turned off. Why is the chat turned off? Matthew, can you chat?
Let me try.
Yeah.
No, it's turned off.
I don't even know how that got turned off. Let me check to make sure. Accessibility call help them. Don't show chat bubbles. Um, People are still joining, so just give us a second or so. Well, I don't understand why the chat's turned off. My apologies, everyone. I guess we don't have, is the Q&A turned on? Let me look. I'm sorry for this. I've never had this problem before. I don't have a way for everyone to ask questions. By all means, everyone, if you have a question, Matthew, well, I'll just say email me and I'll have my email is on the screen right now. Shoot me an email. I'll get the email. And what I try to do is I try to answer the questions afterwards rather than through the session. We have a lot to go over in 30 minutes and we've already burned 3 of it because of me. So my apologies. So everyone, I am Jim Gast and I am the business director here at Vallejo Networks. And so I have been working with Microsoft for probably 5 years now, specifically in the areas of presentation on AI, Microsoft 365. You know, Copilot has been, the thing I've been presenting for them longer than anything else. I do it almost every single month for the last 4 or 5 years. So I've been doing this a lot. I appreciate you joining. Again, if you have questions, shoot it to Jim at vallejonetworks.com, Jim at vallejonetworks.com. And I'm going to open up my email on my phone. That way, when and if somebody does send something, I'll get it over here. I'll try to answer 1 or 2 questions as we proceed, but I can't make any promises because there's a lot of stuff to go through. So first and foremost, we are here to talk about Microsoft 365 Copilot and AI agents. This isn't really a beginner session, although we're not getting too in-depth with highly technical things. Today is really to show you things you can do with Copilot, the basic stuff for an individual, and then take it to the next level. So it's really about, hey, think of it like this. You've already tested Copilot. You've used it a little bit. Maybe some people in your organization have experienced it, and we're getting some time savings, and we're seeing some good work, right? And so what do we do to take this to the next level, to actually get more out of it, is what we're trying to do with Copilot, because it's more than just a personal assistant, right? It's more than just the smartest person in the room and you can ask all the questions in the world to. I actually like to give this analogy. I like to tell people that Microsoft 365 Copilot is the smartest person you'll ever know, right? They sit right next to you. And if you ever have a question, you can turn to them and just ask them, and they will tell you. If you don't know how to do something, just turn to them and ask them, and they will give you ideas. That is Copilot, right? It's a good friend of mine, actually. I love Copilot. And today, everything you're seeing on the screen, Copilot did my presentation for me. I didn't do it myself. I cheat. Honestly, I do. I know how to use Copilot. I'm really good at it. And I think by showing you this PowerPoint shows you the things that you can do. I honestly did not come up with this PowerPoint at all. This is not by my hand. So all the graphics, everything you see, even the words, I told it what I wanted to talk about. I said, give me some ideas. Here's what, add this. And this is what we came up with today in a matter of an hour or so. So what we want to do, though, is not only do we want to use Microsoft 365 Copilot for ourselves, but we want to scale it out, right? But we want to scale it out in a way that doesn't get messy, right? It's one of those tools where, think about it like this. Microsoft Word makes documents. So if everybody in your organization is making documents, you want to have a consistent place for them to put these documents, a way to save these documents, places where they're, or it just becomes a great big mess if they just put it wherever, right? Copilot and AI is no different, okay? If we don't do it right, if we don't put standards around it, we're going to get inconsistent results. We're going to have concerns about the data that it's using, and we'll have no strategy. Just like with Word creating documents, we'll have no strategy on its output or the things that it's doing for us. So with anything else, just like anything else, we want to have a strategy around Microsoft 365 Copilot, how to use it, and how we govern the data that it gets access to, what can and can't be used, and also if we're going to make it more broadly beneficial to the organization, we want to have an agent strategy, which is a little bit different than just a strategy for implementing the AI. So think about it like this, okay? What we're doing when we use it as an individual is we're prompting it. We're asking it questions. Hey, do this PowerPoint for me. Hey, do this presentation for me. Hey, create a grant request for it. Whatever, so on and so forth. Create a whole program based on these things. That's what we can do with it as individuals, right? But as individuals, we can come up with different results. And so one person might talk to and work with Microsoft 365 Copilot one way, and it's learned that from that person. And then another one might come in and do the same thing, but because it's learning and it's pulling from different data for that other person, the results can be just so broadly unique, right? And maybe that works for an individual, but it doesn't really work for an organization. Organizations like to have theming, like to have consistency, like to have branding, like to have, hey, we don't say it this way, we say it this way. And so culture is important, and the way we portray our business is really important. And that's where agents come in. And so instead of me allowing an individual just to prompt and go do that, I can build an agent for our organization to do grant writing, to do this, to do that. And I can assign that to all the people that are supposed to be doing it. And now their results, their outputs can be consistent. They can still question it the way they question it, but it's got a different set of parameters than just the individual. And it's got a specific, what I call brain about whatever we're talking about. Whereas if you do it as an individual, it's generally looking at just everything you've got access to, right? But if you set up an agent and an agent as an organization, that agent has a brain. It becomes a subject matter expert on whatever that is, not just broad scale, right? Which is really important. So, Copilot, it knows everything. Agents, we narrow down the knowledge base that it pulls from to do the job that we want to do. So here's where nonprofits generally get the highest impacts, without a doubt, when it comes to using it for individuals or as organization-wide agents. Grant writing, program summaries, donor communications, internal communications, right? And so without a doubt, we can automate and make things unique to the organization rather than unique to the individual at the organization by making agents for this stuff. Now I'm going to show you a few demonstrations here on how to do these first three things or so, but then I'm going to get into agents. And I got a lot, I don't have a lot of time on this, so bear with me. I do move really fast. So first and foremost, here's our live demonstration. We're going to go do Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Teams, and Agents. So I'm going to go through the first four as fast as I can. And I have cheated, all right? And I have a cheat sheet that I'm working off of. My cheat sheet is created by Copilot for me. Okay, I said create me a cheat sheet for this demonstration. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up in Microsoft Word. I'm going to go open it up. I'm going to fly open Word. I'm going to go do a new document. Okay, and I'm going to say this. Okay, create this program outline for a food bank. For a food bank providing healthy alternatives. And I'm going to go boom. And it's going to actually go for it and start to put that together. By the way, I can tell it that I want to look at only internal information. I want to look at the internet as well. And so by allowing it to look to the internet, it goes out and gets information that is not part of our organization very securely, by the way. I don't want to get into the security of how it works, okay? But just trust me that this little green badge right here that you see all over the place when you're using Copilot, it means that you have enterprise level security. Your data is not getting out of the organization, right? So put together a great document. I'm going to go pop over here and grab my next prompt and it said, now create an opening paragraph even while it's not done. And so it's still building that document out. We're on 2 pages, 3 pages now. Today isn't about what this document says. That's not what's important, okay? And by the way, never, ever, ever just trust an AI. Trust but verify. It's very important. This may not read the way you want it to read. It may not be the culture of your organization, which is why we might want to build an agent to create a document like this rather than just like the individual do it, which I'm doing right now. Okay, so keep that in mind. You need to verify the information in these because these are not final products. These are drafts. Always consider them drafts. Very important for you to do that. Look at that. We're up to 6 pages on that program. I don't know what it says. You know, it's pulling from the internet. It's pulling from my work. I'm going to go ahead and say done. Boom, we're done. Okay. Now I'm going to enter a space here and I'm going to say, where's my Copilot prompt? I'm going to say, add an opening paragraph about poor food choices that affect long-term senior health, right? And so now, and by the way, there's been some modification. They're always changing it. It's great. And so now it's making an opening paragraph for me. And so I've got that opening paragraph. Doesn't matter to me right now what it says. I'm just trying to show you examples on the things that it can do for you. Now I can say enter a table from the last 5 years, right? I'm going to come down here to financial plan. Let's find an appropriate place. Staffing approach, and let's see, success metrics, risk management. Let me just go. It doesn't really matter really logically where it goes into this document. Okay, but I'm going to say now, here's my Copilot prompt. Where's my little Copilot right there? Ooh. I'm going to say insert a table. I think it'll do it at my cursor. Hopefully. It says I can add that, but I need some information. Use some placeholder data. It's actually picking the place for me. Service model, rewrite, insert a table. Service model, where's that at? Right there. And so it added some placeholder data for me. So quickly I could do that. Remember though, that this is the format that I chose. This isn't the format that the organization chose for this type of document. You see, that's important. We don't want we may not want as an organization for our individual people to make these decisions. I'm going to say save as, I'm going to say program doc. Okay, I'm saving it into my OneDrive, okay, because if it's on my computer, I have to upload it for Copilot to understand it. But if it's not in my if it's in my SharePoint or my OneDrive, Copilot can grab it directly. All right. So it actually cheated and said, now Copilot eliminates that blank page, helps you write the work. So it actually kind of helped me decide what I want to say. I don't know why I put that in there. I didn't ask it, but I did say these things, notice. All right. So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to now take that Word document and create a slide deck out of it. Okay. And so I'm going to pop open Microsoft Word. By the way, I'm going to close this document. I'm going to open up Microsoft PowerPoint to a new slide deck. Give me a second. Okay. Six-line Word, this Word document, I'm going to say program document. There it is right there. That /, by the way, that I put in there, that tells it to look up resources that it has access to. All right. And I'm going to say create. So again, this PowerPoint, I'm letting Copilot decide how it wants to put it together. I haven't put parameters around it. Now, if I did this as an agent versus an individual, which everything I'm doing so far is as an individual. If I did it as an agent, I could get some consistency. Use these color schemes. Don't say this, say this. Use these as examples over here. By the way, take a look at what it did over here on the right-hand side. Because it doesn't have enough information, it's asking me, wait a minute, who's the primary audience for this? Well, community partners, of course, And since has 12 sections, where should we prioritize? Impact and growth, funding cases. Well, I'm looking for funding for it. So I'm going to say, boom. So it helps me try to figure out what I'm trying to do if it doesn't have enough information to do that for me. Sorry, I've got some wind blowing on my back. My apologies. So what it's going to do is it's going to put together that PowerPoint slide deck for me based on some criteria that it needed an answer for. While it's doing that, I'm going to pop back over and copy my next line. Add a slide summarizing the 5-year meal data, right? Pop back over to PowerPoint. Which one is it going on? All right. Okay. I'm just going to start picking anything because we need to get this PowerPoint done. It is thorough. This has been improved significantly over what it used to. I mean, just look at the slide deck that I'm showing you. I didn't put any of these graphics in there. It picked all these graphics. So it's been incredibly enhanced. Come on, we just need a PowerPoint. Any PowerPoint would do. And it's also, you can tell it how in-depth you want it to be by using different AI models, which is really important. So, it's you can say, hey, I want you to use this model. I want to use this model. Claude is actually integrated now. Certain levels of Claude are integrated with certain items within Microsoft 365. So now that integration has taken place, it does it a lot better than ever before. Come on. And so we don't have time for this. Come on. Well, while we're waiting for that to go, I'm going to go ahead and pop over here and move on to the next example. There we go. Okay, good. I love that image. I thought I was going to finish out. Okay, so now I'm going to actually do something in Excel while that's working, and I'll pop back over. So we're going to copy that, pop over into Excel, open up a new Excel spreadsheet, and then I'm going to use Copilot here. And I'm going to say in Copilot, just create a sample table of donors, donations ranging, blah, 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 blah. And I want to do that. And so I'm going to pop back over to my slide deck. Come on. It's still making images here. So understand that, yes, this is taking a little bit of time, but imagine the time it would take you to do this yourself manually. That's why I always like to tell people is consider that. But while we did that, we popped over in that spreadsheet. Oh, I like that spreadsheet. It actually did some formatting on it. And so it's creating that donor table for us. My next step in that donor table, because the PowerPoint is still doing its thing, is identify the top donors by region on that spreadsheet. Done. Okay, now identify the top donors by region. Oh, you need to save the table. Okay, so now that I've saved it, it's going to go ahead and identify those top donors. So imagine this was a spreadsheet that you needed to create from Word documents or other sources, or maybe it's a spreadsheet somebody sent you. All right, let's do it again. Maybe somebody sent that to you instead, and now you can use Copilot to actually and analyze this for you. Let's see how our slide deck's coming along. Oh, look at that. Our slide deck is still doing it. It might not be done. It's doing it. Look at that. Oh, look at that result. I love that top donors by region. I love how that slid that right out there separately for us. I thought I was just going to highlight it. Now let's add a chart to this to the actual spreadsheet. Create a chart, monthly donations by region. Again, this is just really, you're doing it yourself. I'm going to skip through the Teams meeting section of it because I think it's valuable, but I can do it I'll do a live stream, by the way, on LinkedIn Live to answer questions for everybody because I know we're not going to have enough time. So for everybody that's in this, I will send you out an additional invitation to join me on a LinkedIn Live. All you do is click on the link and you can just put the questions in that you have. I'll go over the questions I've gotten. So if you haven't sent me questions, by all means do. But there's that chart. So look at that. That's an incredibly awesome spreadsheet. And I didn't churn the data myself. Imagine this was a really, really big spreadsheet and you needed to do something, ask it, what can you tell me about this data? What information should I be looking at? Right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my doc. I want to see if the PowerPoint finished. Yeah, it's good old time on the PowerPoint. Yeah. Review image warning. Okay, I guess it's having a little difficulties making the images, but I mean, it's very thorough. So here is where I'm going to move into doing agents. Okay, so imagine I wanted an agent to do all that kind of stuff for me, right? And I wanted it to do a consistent way. So here's what I'm going to do. Use our past proposals and do this. Now, there's this program here called Microsoft 365 Copilot. Yes, we've used Copilot within the applications, okay? But this is the actual application called Microsoft 365 Copilot, all right? And so within this application, you can now build the agent for yourself. Now, I would not build it for yourself. I strongly recommend working as a group of people in the organization to build important agents for different departments. But I'm going to tell it, use our past proposals, narrowing down the knowledge base, funder guidelines, narrowing down the knowledge base, and impact reports, more narrowing to help draft and revise grants. Okay. Oh, sorry. I'm actually going to stop that. I wanted to say agent. Come on. Come on, stop. I wanted to stop it because I wanted to say build an agent. Well, while it's doing that, I'll come over here under agents, okay? And I'll say do a new agent. That's where you do it. You don't do it in the prompt. And it's a prompt, just like you see, okay? Call it new grant creator, right? Now, because I told it what I want the agent to do, this is going to be more like I'm doing it one time, I'm narrowing down, and then I'll reuse the agent over and over and over to do the job. So what it did is it took that information and it built some criteria, what they call the instructions for this new grant creator. And I can come in here and further edit this. By the way, just because you create it one time doesn't mean you can't edit it further if it's not giving you the results you want. Then I could tell it where do I want the data to come from? SharePoint, OneDrive, the internet. Do I want it to make documents and things like that? Here are some suggested prompts that it will actually use. Okay. Do I want it to create images? I'm just going to go ahead and create this guy. All I'm going to do. Now, what it does is it creates an agent that we switch to instead of the main Copilot. And so I'm going to go to agent. This is a regular chat up here. Okay. But when I want to use my agent, go to agents and I click this grant agent. So generalist, subject matter expert is the way I want you to think. Chatting is talking to the generalist Copilot. New grant creator is talking to the subject matter expert Copilot, right? Now I can share this out to other people if I want to. Where's it at? It's actually in the agent itself. Share. and then I can share this to other people. All right. Now, when I modify it and I say, well, that's really good, but I need to modify it. Okay. Well, I send them a new sharing link and they get the update. Okay. So I'm going to take the same prompt that I took before. Create a nonprofit program. And this will be a subject matter expert using all of our old stuff. And I don't have a whole lot of stuff in my Copilot and my SharePoint and OneDrive, but it's using the information I had on some old demonstrations that I did, and it's now generating that. And it would be different. And it will, since we had those instructions, we even told it, let's take a look at it again. We even told it things like be professional, maintain clear and concise, persuasive writing styles, ensure responses are grounded in relevant information. I could have also said, make it comical, make it, lawyery, whatever is important to you. We could have said, make it that way. All right. So we did a bunch of demonstrations. Let's see if PowerPoint ever got done. There we go. Huh. It's a good looking PowerPoint. It took a little bit to do. I couldn't have done it in the same amount of time. That's a 6-slide PowerPoint that it came up with all on its own based on that document that we had. All right. And so it's really improved. But again, this may not fit. However, if I use an agent and I say, now create a PowerPoint agent that uses these criteria and ends up with a PowerPoint, it will be more clear and concise for what our organization wants. A couple of things we want to talk about, though, is now I'm done with those demos, so forgive me. Popping over here. There we go. Give me a second. Got to catch my slide deck up. Let me stop sharing it real quick. One second, my slide deck decided it doesn't want to cooperate. It's because I'm presenting and I have a lot of stuff open at the same time. PowerPoint, I never have a problem with Copilot until I'm in these webinars where I'm doing a whole bunch of different things in these demonstrations at the same time. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm not actually lagging to you guys at this time because of, give me a sec. PowerPoint is not reopening. Matthew, can you still hear me?
Yep, I can.
Okay, good, good. Here we go. It's always when I'm presenting that it does this. Give me a second. And slideshow. There we go. Tell me when you can see my screen again, Matthew. Nope, wrong screen. Okay, everybody see the screen again, Matthew?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, so keep in mind, when we do it as individuals, and if we don't plan a strategy as an organization to make agents, that we do run a risk of oversharing data and putting out stuff that shouldn't be. There is no Copilot behaves from a security perspective like your security. It takes your security. So if I don't have access to it, then Copilot doesn't have access to it when I'm using it. But here's the thing. It's not a matter of should I have access to it, but should I use it in my future work that I might be sending to somebody? So even though I might have security access to something, is the category of that data something that the ownership of or the leadership wants to go out to the public? Or do we even want an AI to evaluate that data? And so what we want to do is get it under a governance, right? It's really important to get data under a governance before we start to kind of go hog wild with an AI like Copilot, right? Because Copilot's not really, it's not making access, it's not creating it, right? It's just emulating it, right? It reflects it. So there's security and then there's governance. Security is I can't get to it. I can get to it. Okay. Governance is even though I can get to this, I shouldn't be sending it out to the public. I shouldn't be utilizing it in other things that could go out into the public. So private versus confidential versus leadership only versus board level only. The categories of data is what we're talking about here. All right. So it's important if we're going to scale that we One, the first thing, security. I can get to it or I can't get to it. Two, define that data, right? What kind of data is this? Got to start putting some categories around your data. Yes, this is the way it is now, unfortunately. And most regulatory bodies actually require this of organizations today. So categorizing your data, putting governance around it, what's called data loss prevention. And then if you want to start moving into utilizing Copilot from an organizational perspective, we start coming up with some use cases, right? And that's really important to do because we just don't want to start everywhere. Start having departments develop a use case. What do we do all the time that we should make it much easier and consistent across the board for everybody? Well, we put PowerPoint slide decks together for grants, grant permissions, or maybe we do recruiting, so on and so forth with our volunteers, and we're going to be very, very consistent. But these big risk areas, without a question, are right here. We want to pay attention specifically to the security and governance and data loss prevention on these types of things, because these are the things that are most confidential to your nonprofits. So what I always say is this: let's get to a next step. All right. In your organization, you want to start small. All right. What's our security? Okay. How can we get, do I have right security? Can I get to things I shouldn't get to? Right. Then we start to put governance around it. Okay. Do we have categories of the data? What should and shouldn't go out? Because AI doesn't know what it should and shouldn't use. If you have access to it, it's going to utilize it, right? Then once we validated that stuff, then we start building an agent, one agent to start with, okay? Then we perfect that agent, all right, make sure it works, and then share it to other people and let them give you feedback on it. And I showed you do it in the Microsoft 365 Copilot app. And by the way, I'm always here for questions. And then once we've worked that, then we do another one and another one and another one and another one. And that's really important to do it that way, because if everybody starts doing it, we're going to have a mess without a question. So 3 things to remember: Copilot equals productivity. Agents bring scale, consistency, right? And in governance, without a doubt, it really should be on top of those two, if you ask me. But governance is all about safety. Who has access to it? Should they use it? Should AI use it in the information that it's going to be put out there, that it's going to utilize for the resources that we're going to create? So here's what I tell everybody. I do this stuff for free. I spend all kinds of time with people, giving my time out for free. I don't mind. It's part of my job, right? Of course, I want to work with you. If that's not the case, that's not the case. I want to help people go down the right path for their Copilot journey. I don't want you to start off on the wrong foot. Send me an email, Jim@Vallejo Networks, and I will give you 30, 45 minutes of my time. It's my job, right? Of my time to determine what you should be doing, how you should be doing. Give me your parameters. I'll give it back to you, no cost. I don't charge for it, right? And if we move forward and do something else, great. If not, great. I want to be that resource for you. I want to be that individual that you turn to and say, that guy really does know what he's talking about. He gave this great presentation. He didn't have enough time and he was all over the place and things locked up on me. But I want to be the person to help you. Okay. So I'm going to do a LinkedIn Live to do the Q&A if you guys want to send me all your questions. Or if you want me to help you with your journey, just shoot me an email and say, Copilot journey in the subject. I'll get you scheduled. I'll send you a scheduling link and we'll get you scheduled for 30, 45 minutes and we'll just kind of talk and see where you want to go with it. Not everything. I can't help everybody, right? We can't sell everybody everything. But the fact of the matter is I will give you some direction on what you need. All right. And what you're looking to do to start with individuals, get the governance and security in place, and then scale it to the organization. That way you can save a lot of time. I have taken processes that take me 4 hours down to half an hour by using agents and by utilizing Copilot. Even though I had to fly through all this stuff and we had a couple of hiccups, all the things you see here today, my Copilot did, and it can do that for you and your organization too. So thanks for coming, everybody. If you got questions, Jim@VallejoNetworks.com. If you want to set up a quick 30-minute, 45-minute review session with me, Copilot journey. But if nothing else, look out for my LinkedIn Live session. I'll also query you guys for questions later on. But thanks for coming. I really appreciate your time. I'm going to see if there are any questions here. Yeah, I got one question here. So, what's the difference between Copilot and Copilot agents? And I want to make sure you understand it. Copilot is the program that you use, okay? Microsoft 365 Copilot is a program that you're using to generate documents, to do things with AI automatically in Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, and so on and so forth. There's that program, also the Microsoft 365 Copilot that comes with it, okay? Agents is a part of the Microsoft 365 Copilot application where you can build an agent and you can do things consistently over and over and over again versus worrying about, did I prompt it the same? So an agent is more of a, do it once, repeatable type of thing, and it's a subject matter expert on the topic versus Microsoft 365 Copilot is do it different every time, maybe, and utilize whatever resources that you can find unless I specify it. So I hope that helps with that question. Anyone else? All right. Well, I'll tell you what, we're already at 4:06. I'll do the LinkedIn live session. Shoot me an email at jim@valeonetworks.com. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming. Have a great day. Thanks a lot, William. I appreciate it. If this was valuable, give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. All right. Gonna pop. Take care, everyone. Thanks. Thanks. Elena, thank you. Rosa? Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to unmute, or there's no cue. The chat was messed up for the day. So I'm so sorry, Rosa. Shoot me an email at jim@valeonetworks.com.